Hello, thank you for joining us today. I'm Chris Paterna, partner and CRO here at Compass, and this is Need to Know, our Webisode series where we cut through the noise, navigate through all the industry information, and get to the good stuff for you. I'm joined by our CEO, Seth Larner here at Compass, and today's Webisode is going to be all about AI in retirement plans. We've been getting a lot of questions on AI and how it's going to affect things and how it is already affecting things, so we wanted to have our Webisode today about this. We're going to cover the history, a little bit about the history of AI and how it's affecting retirement plans, our experience here at Compass with AI, our beliefs, and looking forward what we're doing with this new technology. So with that, I want to just read this statement here that we want to make sure that we let everybody know Compass believes that AI is a tool that can help us be more efficient and accurate. It won't replace our staff, but it'll enhance our services and accuracy to clients. So I wanted to start with that before we get into some of the history and the stats, and Seth, I'll turn over to you to cover this a little bit.
Yeah. So we've been using AI now for probably, say, 6-7 years now. And we say AI, I'm being very broad by that term. We've had a lot of automation we've built behind the scenes. And it works great. Sometimes it breaks more often than you would think. But I think a lot of people don't know the history of AI and our automation, IT. And what's really kind of leapfrogged it very recently is because the OpenAI GPT 5.4 finally became smarter than the average human. So when you really look at this, the human base rate of accuracy and intelligence is 72% when you look at it. And this actually just passed this over, and this actually happened back in February when this rolled out. So all those other different Claude, Taurus, all those ones that were happening over the past probably 12 to 18 months, those have been coming out. But now it's actually self-learning and actually becoming smarter. So that's really important to be aware of. It's kind of a cool stat to know. With that being said though, at Compass, one thing that we always think about is when we look at AI and look how we use it is, do we need to rent or do we need to buy? And so when we look at all the different types of technology we have, we say, hey, are we going to try to build this internally? We have a lot of different software we can use to build. Or are we actually going to rent it? Has someone already built something that we can use for that? So that's a big thing. And the other big thing that we always look at too is always making sure all of this stuff is super secure. And when I say secure, I mean it's on our own ecosystem, it's controlled by us. So when we're using, for instance, we don't want our employees using ChatGPT. Because ChatGPT, you type something into it, anyone in the world can get access to it. So we actually have our own, for instance, ChatGPT in our own ecosystem that only runs off our own database. So something to be aware of. Then we can get into some building versus renting. But Chris, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I just want to echo what he said, that security is of utmost importance. Anything you put into any of the public ChatGPT type AI search tools is out there and it's recorded for anyone to see. So again, we very quickly realized that and created our own search tool within our ecosystem that is protected and does not go out to the public. We actually talk a little bit about our experience here. We've built some things behind the scenes, and I'm going to kind of go out of order here, but one of the items that we built was an agent that allows us to search, answer technical questions from some very specific databases that we pre-assigned. That way we can do it all in-house through our own system, pull down resources from public sites that we need to, as well as some technical resources that we pay for, and again, stays within our own ecosystem, so no client names or information is going out to the World Wide Web.
Yeah. So to Chris's point, with that, with our own search engine, someone comes with a very technical question. Before, and some people still do this, they'll look through literally the Aristopedia of 401ks and try to find the code in the section. Now you can just type the question in, and within probably 30 seconds, it's searching 30 different very specific resources we have to give us back very specific answers and all the different resources that we looked at. So that's a really cool thing. The other one that we also, this one's coming out in the next probably 2 weeks that our employees will be able to have access to, is kind of, it's a data lake more or less. And so they're going to be, our employees are going to be able to type a question into this for any of our clients, or a client's going to be able to email, because it does search our emails too. And it's going to be able to come back, and let's say a client says, what's my eligibility for my plan? I forgot what it is. And it's going to instantly be able to read all of our plan document, find their plan document, read it, and then come back with that answer too. which is really great. Again, these are all things to help our staff become more efficient and more effective. Do you want to talk about some of the other ones we built?
Yeah. Just going back in a couple years ago. Now again, AI is a very broad term. So the way I think about it is, it first started with automation. Think of macros in Excel and things that are RPA or called bots commonly. So we started working with this about 6-7 years ago. So we built bots that enable us to read intake forms and specific new client information sheets that we've created. Sets up the new client on our CRM system. Enables us to create the plan document by going through the sections of our plan document software, and then it loads that client and their billing into QuickBooks for us. So very quickly we're able to set up. Now of course the final product is then reviewed by our document team, our onboarding team, and our finance team to make sure that it's correct and it's set up the right way to the right people. But we've been using that for many years now to help kind of speed up that efficiency of onboarding new clients and getting things set up in our systems, rather than have a specific person manually key everything in line by line.
Yeah. Another thing that saved us, the kind of same thing, is we actually been using it for multiple years, is we actually have an agent that actually builds all of our quarterly invoices. So we have over 2,100 clients, and those before was a manual process to create a quarterly invoice. And to be honest with you, it would take that team probably a month and a half to create 2,100 invoices. And at that time too, over the years, we have grown, so it was less, but it would take about a month and a half. This agent actually creates the invoices within a matter of hours. So our actually Q2 invoices that will go 8/1 were all just created actually yesterday. So those were all created yesterday with a click of a button, which was phenomenal. So another thing where you still need someone reviewing and overseeing it, but it saved drastic amount of time on our operations side. So.
Yeah, and so there's still a human element to this where you have to have somebody reviewing, QCing these, and we have a number of different agents that also go out to the major record keepers that work with and download specific files, trust reports for us automatically and save them to a specific spot in our secure server. But if something changes on the website with one of these record keepers, a file path change or where you specifically click on a website, that could disrupt the bot and throw off errors, and it freezes. These agents don't know what to do after that. So you do have to have a developer in-house to be able to review these, which we do have, and correct them. And so a lot more time than you think is spent correcting and updating and cleaning. I call it cleaning these agents to make sure that they're updated with the newest website, the newest technology, and keeping them running efficiently.
Yeah, and to that point too, Chris just mentioned too, what we found efficient for us is we have automation like this. So the ones that go out and grab the annual trust report. So at the end of the year, we have to go and grab these trust reports, which again is a very time-consuming job for our compliance team, because they literally have to go out, click like 3 clicks to get there, click download, click save, and save it. And it's just a tedious task. Now these bots that will go out, or agent will go out and grab it all, and they'll grab them all in a matter of an hour, which is pretty phenomenal. The thing you have to be aware of, and this is technology is always changing. So right now we have our agents, they go in, they log in as a human. So we actually have, our agent actually has a human name. And it goes out, it actually does, it gets a dual factor code back. It actually puts the dual factor code and runs. The new way and the better way to do it is APIs. But the one thing that is tough is, with all this new tech builds, a lot of record keepers and a lot of providers don't have APIs that we can tap in to grab this data. So there's always the constant fight that we have something built, it's working phenomenal, it's working great, but I can see in the next 2 years, we have to reprogram it because it's going to be running, the agent's going to be running off an API, which is slightly different. That's like an information highway of data we can just go in and grab and pull back. Some record keepers definitely do have APIs, but it's not for this service yet, and luckily we're on a lot of the advisory boards. So we're beta testing some of this stuff, but something to be aware of is you build something today, as Chris mentioned, it may fail 6 months, a year, or 2 years because something has changed in that process. So.
Yeah, the technology is constantly changing. There's constant upgrades. You've seen it with all these new names coming out, the different Claude versions and things like that. So part of this is just you're on a race to keep up with the latest and the greatest. Which reminds me of that, the pricing for these AI systems, because you have to rent or at least purchase an enterprise subscription to these, is all token based. And the token system, at least for me, was very confusing when we first learned about it, is how do you actually how do you get billed for this? It's not a standard monthly fee like you would have AT&T and Verizon. They're actually charging per search in most cases. And if you're using the latest and the greatest version, it doesn't cost you 1 token. It actually costs you 2 or 3 tokens. But if you're using an older version, well, maybe it only costs you half a token. So it's kind of like an arcade system. And we've seen some large companies that have blown through their IT budgets because everybody's searching everything. So you've got to put some restrictions on that. We actually built our agent there that says, hey, we're going to use these specific types of search engines for the technical side, but hey, if you just need something to summarize, the 10 emails you got before 9 a.m. this morning, well then, okay, we're going to use kind of an older version because summarizing emails is fairly simple. So we've had to structure it a specific way, and we recommend that if you're purchasing that enterprise software for your company, you look into that token before getting into that.
Yeah, it's definitely something that is talked about a lot. You see as a lot of people go through their IT budgets in the first quarter because everyone's like testing out, using it, and their tokens went through the roof. So just be cognizant of that. At Compass, what we do though is we have a group that can develop an agent, and then we don't let our employees develop the agents, but give us the ideas, and then we'll have a group develop them. So that way we can also be efficient, because we want employees to spend their time doing the job they're supposed to be doing and not kind of trying to figure out how to build agents, because it is a very technical skill set to do. Everyone's like, oh, you just click a couple buttons, you create an agent. Some are that way, but a lot aren't that way. So you got to be aware of that too.
Yeah.
So.
The one other thing I wanted to mention, and this is a fairly new piece of AI that we have, is it's in my terminology, a plan document reader. We can feed in a plan document from a client, even if it's not our plan document, it's something, a new client we're working with, and it will spit out a custom spreadsheet that we built that shows every single plan provision for that client. But you have to have a human review that, and you have to have the practical experience, which we do with our consulting team and our RM team, to say, okay, hey, the statistics are saying this, but in your situation, what are you looking to accomplish? What's your goal for recruiting, retaining, rewarding employees? What's your turnover like? What's your prospects for hiring in the next 6 months to a year? Because there is a practical side to how a plan should be designed, what works in real life versus what works on paper, or what maybe the government's pushing us to with a certain type of design for every single plan.
Yeah, and to talk about that plan document reader agent we have, to give you perspective on that, for us to read a plan document, for our average employee on the onboarding team that reads a plan document, it was taking them between 40 to 45 minutes on average. With that being said, the agent, or them reading it, they were usually in the high 80s to low 90% accuracy. This agent, after critiquing it and making it work better, is now at 94% accuracy, which is phenomenal. So that agent's at 94% accuracy with tweaking it, and now our team still has to go in and review it to make sure it's right, because every now and then it just doesn't pull something in perfectly, but it's saving our staff, saving us about 30 to 40 minutes on a per review, because we do have to take it, then read it and stuff like that. So it's about saving 30 minutes. But that was a home run for us on that one as well too. That is an agent that we do rent, because when we tried to build it, the amount of time it was going to take to build, it just didn't seem sense, where to rent it was actually a fraction of the cost. So we actually rent that one, but it still lives in our ecosystem. It's controlled by us, but luckily another developer developed it, and then we just use that data. So that's a nice one we rent. 2 others that we rent is our email assistant. So that email assistant we have, it kind of review emails and review priority and what's going on. So it helps the team figure out what they have to address first. I'll be very frank with this too. We get so many emails a day. Like, I think Chris and I each get like 400 emails a day, and it's overwhelming. I think a lot of people feel this, and this is a good way where it can help you look at this stuff pretty quickly and say, okay, these are the 10 things I got to attack right away. This is an emergency that just popped up. So that's a great one that we do rent as well too. Again, it stays in our ecosystem, but so sometimes when we look at building versus renting, we look at the cost, and we say, hey, it's going to cost us X to build. No one's thought about this. Let's do it. Or hey, you know what? Here's something that someone's already built. It's actually not. It's pretty reasonable rent. Let's just rent it versus building, and they maintain it too, which is nice too, because we don't have to worry about maintaining. So we do a hybrid of approach of building versus renting, depending on what we're looking for.
Yeah. And if you're looking to do that analysis, you've got to look at maintenance costs as well, because as we mentioned before, the AI modules and agents that we've built and some of those bots that we've built over the years do take a lot of time and resources with the upgrades and the fixes, and our developer spends a lot of time on maintenance.
Yeah. And the main reason we wanted to have this conversation on AI is we've been getting calls from everybody saying, we know you guys have automation, we know you're using AI, how are you doing it? How should I do it? You know what I mean? What's going to be best for our practice, our business? How is that going to help? And I'll be very transparent on this, is start small. Do not say, oh, I'm going to create an automation that's going to go from here to here, and it's going to do all these 15 things. It's going to break. Break things down to small incremental sections. You know what I mean? And then when it starts working well, then you kind of roll it out a little deeper, a little deeper, a little deeper. I also want to be very transparent about this too. Everyone's like, no one's going to have jobs in 10 years. It's just going to be bots running everything. You still need humans to do stuff. You know what I mean? So you still need humans to do stuff. This is just a tool to help make things a little bit more efficient. Get rid of the meteorical tasks that don't really matter, that something can do it, be quicker, but you'll still need humans to do stuff. You'll be able to grow a business bigger, but you'll still need humans in the background doing a lot of the work. So, yeah.
Great. Thanks. And that's a good segue, and let's talk a little bit more about our beliefs and where we are going and where we think things are going, with the future of AI. So, one thing that's pretty clear is that this retirement plan industry is a very technical business. There's a lot of details, there's a lot of compliance and regulations. It keeps getting, there's more and more every year and more regulations that just layer on top of previous regulations. But we feel that we can build more automation behind the scenes to help increase the speed, increase the accuracy, and allow our consultants and relationship managers to have more meaningful and longer conversations with clients and spend less time moving data from one system to another, for example, or spend time retyping in information that could be moved by AI, automatically or translated into the right language for that new system.
Yeah. So we will keep investing in the AI world and the automation world. Again, it's a very broad term, and to put it in perspective, we actually have in-house developers, and we also actually have outside developers that help us too. So we actually have multiple different developers that help us, but it's definitely something that is here to stay. It's just going to make everyone a little bit more efficient, but it's not going to take over the world and in regards to replacing humans. So
yeah. You're seeing more of it with even for those of you that use Microsoft Outlook, with some of the suggested responses and things. So you're seeing more more automation and AI creep into our email communication, and not just at Compass, but everywhere, where emails are pre-written, the responses are pre-done. So some of that can be helpful, but we don't want to take away the personality, and everything can't be a canned, bland response. There are very technical details and specific suggestions and guidance that we will give our clients, regardless of how much AI we use behind the scenes.
Yeah. So, awesome.
The other thing is, how can we scale up AI and keep the accuracy and the efficiency going? And that's to Seth's point, where we have to have developers both in-house and out-of-house. We've got to make sure these are kept within our security blanket, in a sense, to keep things keep things safe, keep things out of the World Wide Web, but make sure that we have the right information going from each system and the results being completely accurate based on the newest regulations.
Yeah.
We also believe that you can't automate true service. If you see a company and their whole model is chatbots and go on the app, that is not true service. That's not going to be something that's going to be able to help you, guide you through complex situations, guide you through employee issues that pop up. We all know that no 401k is perfect. We all know that no employee never has a question on their retirement plan. Things are going to happen. So we want to make sure we keep that personal touch and make sure we always have that practical implication in mind and how a specific regulation or rule applies to each individual company and client that we work with. Anything to add to that, Seth?
Yeah, it's you got to be aware that this is evolving. I mean, a lot of people are very excited to talk about this, but it's going to be evolving more. And one thing that Chris and I have definitely seen is over the past 6-7 years we've been using some type of IT automation. It has changed drastically. You know what I mean? And it's never. Some people are like, well, am I too late to get into it? It's never too late to get into it again. But start small. You know what I mean? And then start building larger. So.
Yeah, we've seen that with a number of different products that we've interviewed and met with over the past and platforms over the past, even just 8 months. Everyone is preaching that their AI is the latest and the greatest. But at the end of the day, if you need information and data securely moved from one system to another, let's see that happen, and let's see it happen multiple times. Systems are not built the same. You guys can probably all know that from your own internal software. How do you get information from a document system, a compliance system from QuickBooks into something else? It's very difficult. Field formats and languages don't always match up. So start small, as Seth said. If we're working on that, getting census data to move from payroll to our CRM, to our compliance modules. And in some limited cases, it's working fantastic. In others, we're noticing that a specific situation throws off an error. So then we have to go back and develop, hey, that one specific situation. So it's time consuming. So I don't think we're going to see in the next 3, 4, 5 months the entire world be upset. This is still going to take a long time to work its way through a technical industry like the retirement plan industry.
Yeah, and to Chris's point, to give you guys a future of where we're going with this, for a client perspective, what we're trying to do is we piloted this with a few clients this year, and it worked really, really well. We will be rolling out next year, and if depending what payroll provider you're with, we'll be able to integrate in with their payroll to get the annual census data that will feed right on in. There will be a little setup that you'll have to do at the very beginning of what's eligible versus non-eligible comp. It's going to feed right on in, and then so no more will you have to enter any payroll data. It'll all come in automatically to us. We may have a question on it, but it's going to come right in from the payroll provider. And then part 2 of it, then it'll go into an automated process of testing and everything else that we review and test and all that. So that is something just to be aware of. I know a lot of clients, you don't like giving us annual year-end data, but that's something that will probably help you depending on what payroll provider you're with. So.
Yeah, we already have a couple of the major, large payroll companies signed up for that, and we're working on more as we speak. So again, it's going to take time. I just want to reiterate that. All of this technology is brand new. Every time they build something, they realize that there's something else that is a result of that. And sometimes it's a fantastic, and sometimes it's like, oh, doing this breaks something else. So it's a lot of 2 steps forward, 1 step back type of situations.
Yeah. So, but we do thank you. I mean, if anyone has any questions, we can take some questions if you guys have any from you. But we do appreciate everyone's time. If you guys do have questions on AI, please let us know. We're here to help. So. As we've been through it. So.
Yeah, great. Well, thank you again for joining our webisode, and we'll see you for the next one. Thank you.